What's going on, everybody? My name is Harley Dugan, and welcome to The Lead. Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Free Agency. Now, it hasn't been underhanded already yet. Underhanded? Ew. Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Free Agency. Now, it has not begun yet. Begun.
There it is.
That's what it was.
There it is.
Delete that. Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Free Agency. It has finally not begun yet. So it does begin on March 16th, which is the tampering window, but officially kickstarts on March 18th. Now, right now, we're going to be hearing a lot of rumors around the NFL with different teams and a lot of fake rumors and a lot of real rumors. I'm here to debunk a few players and to see which players that we would want for our Houston Texans. Houston Texans so far have re-signed a few players, and there's rumors of them re-signing a few more players. So far we have Brandon Dunn, 3-year, $12 million deal. Darren Fells, 2-year, $7 million deal. Kaimi Fairbairn, 4-year, $17.65 million deal. The only one from that one is the kicker. Fairbairn has been getting bashed a lot. And he doesn't deserve to be bashed. He's a very consistent kicker. He had a rough start in the beginning of this season. It didn't look good, but he hit his stride during the regular season, never looked back. Did he get overpaid a little bit? Slightly, but hey, make that money, Fairbairn. Darren Fells, he's about 34, 35 years old as a tight end. He got you 7 touchdowns last year. He was really reliable for Deshaun Watson. Watson likes Darren Fells. We have several quotes from him talking really good about him, how hard he worked, how good of a leader he was in the locker room, how much he listened to people. So Darren Fells has always worked for what he's gotten. 2 years, $7 million. Guys, that's nothing. That's pish-posh to me. Next one is Brandon Dunn. 3-year, $12 million deal. And Brandon Dunn is just a guy to add depth to your team. He's going to help the defensive tackle position, especially if DJ Reader is leaving or not. We're going to get with DJ Reader a lot later. But the Texans also are letting go a few players so far. So what they have right now, they don't have Jaleel Addae. There's rumor he's not coming back. He's your backup strong safety. And he had a solid season. Good hitter, good tackling guy. Solid. He was overall solid for the team. I would have loved to bring him back, but I mean, I don't mind looking into a different direction. And like I say from the beginning, they could always bring these guys back. When I say they let go, I put it in quotation marks because there's possibility these guys can come back. It's not like they're big name free agents that they're just going to leave like a DJ Reader or possibly a Bradley Roby. Again, we will get to them. Next one is Jonathan Joseph. This brings a tear to a lot of Houston Texan fans. Jonathan Joseph has been here for 10 years, most reliable cornerback. He is the best cornerback in Texans franchise history. A lot of respect and salute to you, Mr. J. Joe. Appreciate the farewell letter to the Houston Texans. We will be in open arms for you when you become an assistant for our Texans staff. Besides them two, we also let go of Carlos Hyde and Lamar Miller. So Lamar Miller, it was pretty much a given that Lamar Miller was going to be let go. Especially the way Carlos Hyde played, Duke Johnson. I thought both of them combined on the team did a very well job. And so Lamar Miller isn't surprising to me. He was injured. I see him going somewhere probably like the Redskins or some bottom of the tier team where he might get paid some decent money. Decent to low-end money. Next one is Carlos Hyde. Now, Carlos Hyde was rumored that he rejected a Texans offer, and he's probably looking for some more money. Can you blame him? It's his first 1,000-yard season. He was close twice with the 49ers to getting 1,000 yards. But nonetheless, he did get 1,000 yards here at the Texans, and he's looking to make some money. I don't blame him. Players are always trying to look to get their money, and is there ever going to be another opportunity for Carlos Hyde to make this type of money somewhere between $8 million or so? I don't see him ever getting that again, so you might as well cash out when you can, right? So Carlos Hyde, you know, we appreciate you, man. El Guapo, you did a great job for the Houston Texans, and we do wish you the best for the future. But let's move on and let's kick it because now we're going to be talking about some off-season finds, and I'm going to be debunking a few rumors for the Houston Texans. So as you scroll through your Instagram feed or your Twitter timeline, guys, we're getting through and we see different things for the Houston Texans. One of the names I've seen constantly is Sammy Watkins. So Sammy Watkins is a possible cut from the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen DeAndre Hopkins retweet pictures and want to reunite the Clemson duo. Guys, I'm not all about Sammy Watkins. I think he's a bit overrated. Coming out of college, I was a big fan of his, especially when you have guys like Chris Carter say that he's going to be a bona fide Hall of Famer before he ever step a foot in the NFL. I mean, I never really was a fan of Sammy Watkins. He's always hurt, and he does a lot of good things as a receiver, but does he do one great thing? So, you know, every receiver, usually your good to great receivers have that great thing about them. Sammy Watkins doesn't. He does everything else. He does everything good. He's an overall average receiver, average to good receiver. I think he can be solid, don't get me wrong. But, guys, I've seen enough of wide receivers and injuries. I've seen enough of it with Will Fuller. I don't want to see no more of it with Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins' biggest problem is, can he stay healthy? And if he is supposed to be a security blanket for Will Fuller, I can't be having him hurt. Will Fuller hurt. And then Kenny Stills was hurt a few times this year. So guys, we need somebody that is durable, that can play, and that is a solid receiver. I'm not looking for anybody special, you know. Would I love to go get a Robbie Anderson? I'd love to go get a Robbie Anderson. He's durable. He doesn't drop passes. He's going to be a little expensive, though. I really think somebody's going to pay him some money, throw some money at his way. So why don't we look at someone cheaper, slightly taller, similar speed, not all the way. He's not a burner like Robbie Anderson, but I think someone like Brashad Perryman from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be a really good fit for this Houston Texans. And he could be your number 4 receiver, spot him into a few 2 spots, the 3 slot. And he's 6'3", he's got good speed. He played great with Jameis Winston, guys. He had 6 touchdowns with him. And when Jameis Winston threw it his way, Jameis Winston had a 96.5 passer rating. Guys, that's a crazy stat. Brashad Perryman really balled out with Winston, and I think he can do just the same amount, if not better, expectations with Deshaun Watson. What have I always said about Deshaun Watson? Watson makes people that are not so good or decent into good players. I think he can make Brashad Perryman a very solid receiver, better than what he is supposed to be, and he'd be cheap. I don't think there's a lot of teams that would be calling and going crazy about Brashad Perryman. So to me, this is a really cheap option that I think the Houston Texans should go after, and it would add depth to your receiver position. And even with him, I still think they could look at receiver at the draft, or even sign somebody else that is different. But again, Brashad Perryman, a good fit for our Houston Texans. Next rumor on the list, guys, is Trey Waynes. So we're going to focus our attention to the defensive backs for the Houston Texans, and that is a position of need for your Texans. Trey Waynes and Chris Harris are the biggest 2 names that are supposedly going to come here. And I've heard Chris Harris is going to possibly be here. Pro Football Focus has him wanting to come here. He's a great cover corner, great man-to-man, great in the slot, one of the best cover corners in the slot. And a lot of passing attacks nowadays is through the slot receiver. Chris Harris really will fit here like a glove, I think. Man-to-man scheme. I mean, there's not going to be much loss at all. I think he'd be fit perfect here. A contender for him. I think you give him a 1 to 2 year deal. See what he likes. Bring him in here. And bring another veteran for your secondary, for your really young secondary. Bring a veteran in here that knows what he's doing, can lock down the position. You don't have to worry about it. Trey Waynes, on the other hand, is someone I don't really mind too much either. I've heard that they're going to probably do a 1 year prove-it deal. They're famous 1 year prove-it deals. But Trey Waynes is different than Tyrann Mathieu and Bradley Roby. You knew those two guys were solid. Trey Waynes, you don't know what you're going to get much out of him. Was he used correctly in Minnesota? Not really. They really ran a zone coverage scheme, and that's not his strong suit. His strong suit is a man-to-man scheme. What do we primarily run? A man-to-man scheme. What is Anthony Weaver going to focus on? A man-to-man scheme. Sounds pretty good to me, right? I mean, I think so. Trey Waynes just seems like it's going to fit pretty well. It does sound a little too good to be true, but hey, Trey Waynes, to me, he's a really good man-to-man corner. He has great size, great strength to him. He does need to improve on his tackling, but we've always done pretty well in developing corners. A decent job, not the best job, but a decent job. And I think Trey Waynes could come in here, fit well with the Houston Texans, and he could be your third or your fourth corner, because I still think they need another corner or two. That's where I believe Bradley Roby comes in. Now, the thing is if you get Chris Harris Jr., you're not getting Bradley Roby. If you get Bradley Roby, you're not getting Chris Harris Jr. So you're getting one or the other. Personally, I'd like to bring in Bradley Roby. Bradley Roby, and the biggest chip is he's younger. It's easy. He's younger, and with the limited time, he played very well for the Houston Texans in his limited time. He did a great job, great tackler. I think he became a really good leader in that secondary, and he was a dominant corner. He didn't impose his will and make people throw it his way, but I thought he did a great job. Again, limited time. Did he get hurt? Yes, but he's never been hurt before. It was his first year, really. He's been a really durable cornerback, and what does he do really well? He plays the outside really well, man-to-man. He's a good slot corner. I mean, why not bring him back, give him a good 3-year deal, and I'd be happy, make him happy, make these fans happy. Let's get a good cornerback for our Houston Texans. So we're going to move into the offensive lineman. And there hasn't been much rumor, but the one constant. So we look at the offensive line, right? Left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. Need to re-sign him. We'll get there. Left guard, Max Sharping. Center, Nick Martin. Right tackle, Titus Howard. Right guard. That's what we're circling right now. Yes, Mr. Zach Fulton, your time has come. The Houston Texans are not really looking to cutting him from what I've seen, what I've heard, and looked around and snooped. But it's not a bad idea to take a look into. If you cut him, I believe it's like $7 million you save. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when I talk about replacing Zach Fulton, who would be his viable replacements? And I'm not looking at a Brandon Scherff or a Joe Thuney. I'd love to bring those guys in. That would be absolutely awesome. But those guys are going to get top dollar. You know, Brandon Scherff is either going to get franchise tagged by the Redskins, or he's going to get paid big time money with someone else. Joe Thuney is not going to get paid by the not going to get paid by the Patriots. But the Dolphins will pay him. Brian Flores was with him. You know, that to me is just like a match. Dolphins have money in the cap. Throw it at Joe Thuney. Work your offensive line. Match made in heaven, right? But the Houston Texans, if you don't have Fulton, I think the next best guy after Scherff and Thuney, who is out there in free agency, Graham Glasgow for the Detroit Lions. He's 28 years old. Offer him a 4-year contract. Let him be a Texan for about 7 years. This guy is an absolute monster. He is a top 10 rated Pro Football Focus interior guard. Yes, the word interior guard. That should make Bill O'Brien's eyes just light up. Because Bill O'Brien loves what? Versatility. Versatility was an ad nauseum into our heads from the last offseason and anytime he talked about an offensive lineman. But that is extremely true when we talk about Glasgow. He could play left guard, center, right guard. Plug him in at right guard, sit it, forget it, never talk about it again. Wipe your hands clean. Graham Glasgow should be the next right guard for your Houston Texans. So we're sticking with the offensive side of the ball. We're going to be talking about no more offensive line, but the people that run behind the offensive line, yeah, we're going to running back. With the running back position, we have seen a few rumors, and yes, Carlos Hyde is not coming back. Lamar Miller is not coming back. Well, when I say they're not coming back, Lamar Miller, I believe so. Carlos Hyde, I can still see a situation where he does still be a Houston Texan, but that might take a lot of strings to be pulled. The biggest rumor from what we saw was last year during the season was Melvin Gordon to the Houston Texans. That option is still very viable. Melvin Gordon is still a really good all-around running back. He showed that he was still a really good running back for the Chargers. He had 8 rushing touchdowns, almost 600 rushing yards. He didn't play that much because he held out a little bit, tried to at least, but he's an all-around running back. He can do it all. He can run you over. He's got the speed. He's got the receiving. He can block pretty well. Melvin Gordon would be a really good fit for the Houston Texans. From what I've seen somewhere prices ranging between somewhere like a Mark Ingram deal, which was like $7 million. If we can get Melvin Gordon for $7 million, man, I might do a backflip, guys. That's a huge bargain, a huge steal. I wouldn't even worry about drafting a running back until probably around the 5th round because I still think you need another running back, even with a Melvin Gordon. Or my option that I really enjoy looking at, I really like watching him play football, Kenyon Drake, running back for the Cardinals, also for the Dolphins out of Alabama. This guy is a really good running back, guys. Again, he is an all-around running back, similar to Melvin Gordon. Now, his height and weight isn't like Melvin Gordon, but he can receive the ball, he can run the ball between the tackles, he does great route running, a good blocker. This guy does it all. You bring him and Duke Johnson together, and they both have similar styles of running the ball, but Kenyon Drake can take a pounding, and he can run in between the tackles, great speed, he can do it all. I think with Kenyon Drake and Duke Johnson, you get yourself a younger 1-2 punch and a more dangerous threat for your offense. I think your offense does propel yourself with the addition of a right guard with Glasgow, even if you don't have Glasgow and you keep Zach Fulton. With the addition of Kenyon Drake, Duke Johnson, Kenny Stills, Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins, and you add yourself a good number 4 receiver that could be a security blanket for you for Fuller. This offense will take some leaps and bounds into a top 5 offense engineered by Tim Kelly. I think Kenyon Drake would be a cheaper option than Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon to me is going to be cost a little bit higher, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to set the record straight. I like Kenyon Drake, but I wouldn't mind if we got Melvin Gordon. I'd be happy with both. Either or is great for our Houston Texans. Now we are going to go into the biggest problem for our Houston Texans, and that is the edge rusher position. And one of the biggest rumors, not with the edge rushers, but it is with our nose tackle, DJ Reader. DJ Reader is not going to be a Houston Texan next year. We salute you, Mr. DJ Reader. You had a good run here with us, good 5th round pick that turned out to be really good, athletic as hell. Hopefully you go to Denver or whoever it is, they pay you good money. All best wishes to you, my man. Viable options, I think that the Houston Texans don't really just sign one nose tackle to fill out the position. I think they might sign 1 or 2 people to fill it out, have different people play that position, rotate them in. A guy that I've seen is Al Woods. He's a defensive tackle for the Seahawks, a veteran nose tackle, your typical 3-4 base nose tackle, guy that stuffs the run. And guys, a nose tackle, I don't understand when people talk about nose tackles and they talk about DJ Reader. Well, he wasn't a pass rusher. Well, no shit, he's a nose tackle. He's not engineered to be a pass rusher, guys. We're not bringing in a defensive tackle, a nose tackle, to rush the passer. We're bringing him in here to stuff the run, do the dirty work, That's why they were called the lunch pail crew, because they did the dirty work. They plug up blocks. They take on double teams. They make your guys shine, like your J.J. Watts, like your Charles Omenihu's, like your Whitney Merciless, like your Jadeveon Clowneys at one time ago. These guys do all the dirty work. They don't get a lot of credit. So I hope DJ Reader does get paid, gets his money. He deserves it. He had a really good year for us. But now you have Brandon Dunn. You re-signed him. I think if you go out and sign an Al Woods, that could be one viable option for the Houston Texans. Really cheap. A veteran D-tackle. He knows his role. Knows what to do. Good run stuffer. Enough said about him. That's what I think for the nose tackle position. You sign an Al Woods. Maybe you can flirt with a Dontari Poe, probably. You can flirt around with him and a few other nose tackles, right? We're not getting Javon Hargrave. Don't consider him. The guy's going to get paid some money as well, whether it's with the Steelers or with someone else. And it's probably someone else because the Steelers don't have a lot of cap. After that, we go to the edge rushers, right? And I did mention one guy that I'd really love in this Houston Texan uniform again. And that is Mr. Jadeveon Clowney. I don't know how true it could be if Jadeveon Clowney ever does come back to be a Houston Texan. I don't think it ever happens. But man, I never thought we would ever draft Jadeveon Clowney. I remember sitting at home with my dad and saying, man, I would really like to get this Jadeveon Clowney. And my dad telling me, well, that ain't never going to happen. Looky there now. He's a free agent. He's up again to be a Houston Texan. Guys, I'll break it to you straight. It ain't gonna happen. But we could all dream, right? Besides him, there's some other viable pass rushers that I think the Houston Texans should take a look at. Some of the names on my list would be someone like a Carl Nassib. Carl Nassib for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a really good pass rusher. He had one really dominant year. Well, Harley, why didn't he only had one dominant year? Why do you want him? Well, the other years he was overtaken by his position with Shaq Barrett and different guys that they had. He never really had the opportunity to shine himself after that 1 year of dominance. Carl Nassib, I think, could be a really cheap option, which I like. I think the Houston Texans are going to go after some cheap edge rushers, guys that can make some plays. So I think Carl Nassib could be a really underrated free agent in this class. Besides him, I think Emmanuel Ogbah. Why don't we take a look at him, move him back to the 3-4 pass rushing position, and he can create some havoc. The guy has pure speed, some strength, power. Emmanuel Ogbah could be something really nice for this Houston Texans team. Besides them two, some more edge rushers that we have are someone like Jadeveon Clowney. Another veteran that would be really good for this team would be Gerald McCoy. I would have really liked to grab him last year. He is available this year. I think with him and J.J. Watt on each defensive end position, you have mercy, and you bring in someone like a Carl Nassib that's really cheap. Or you want to spend some money. Dante Fowler is going to cost money, guys. He's young. And he's really good. He's showing off his potential. I think he's going to get overpaid money. But besides Carl Nassib, I mean, Clowney as well. Clowney is going to get paid $18 million. Let's just be real, guys. Besides Carl Nassib, I see someone like a Vinny Curry. He's a good veteran pass rusher, knows what to do. Mario Addison, another veteran pass rusher. Now, he doesn't really fit too well in a 3-4. He's been a 4-3 end his whole career. I don't know how well he'll fit in the 3-4 linebacker position. But, again, someone cheap like Nassib. Mario Addison is a good, viable option. And the one I would really like for our Houston Texans, Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree for the Steelers, pure speed. Great hand movement. The guy can get around the edge and get to the quarterback fast. He could also play a little zone coverage if you need him to. And to me, with him, Merciless, Watt, and if you could bring in a Gerald McCoy, or you brought in, flirt around with a Dontari Poe, these guys can now wreak some havoc. We can bring in some sacks, and we can bring in, finally, some happy faces to this Houston Texans. So that's it for the Texans free agency video, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, share as much as you can. And as always, go Texans. Have a great offseason. You have a blessed night.